Radio Free Tatooine presents Galactic War Report, a Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes podcast.
Boshuda, fellow Holotable hustlers, you're tuned in to Galactic War Report, a Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes podcast that's better than some and worse than others. I'm Sean, a.k.a. the other Sean, and sitting across the holotable from me is Josh, a.k.a. the Golden Pop-Tart.
So earlier today, you sent me a text that talked about Qui-Gon being in Cantina, and my reaction was to fist pump in the air, and my whole family turned and looked at me going, what is going on? I'm like, it's in Cantina. And they all just have no clue what I'm talking about. But
there's an intervention coming.
It's in Cantina.
What's in Cantina? Master Qui-Gon. Oh, God, he's doing it again.
I know, right?
Oh, yes. Master Qui-Gon has landed on a Cantina node. It's almost too good to be true. We always talk about like power creep, whether that's like in characters or in events like the Battle for Naboo, and like things get harder and harder, and that game asks more and more from you and demands more time and more resources, except for today when they shine a light upon us and give us Master Qui-Gon on Cantina. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about, I think we'll talk about the Naboo raid a little bit. It's not in the notes, but I'm going off script. I want to talk about
there
it.
There we
go. As well as the kit reveal for Morgan Elsbeth, the newest Nightsister to hit the game. All that and more. But first, as is tradition here, let's celebrate some blurf days. All right, this week we've got a few, actually. They're all very furry, too. On the 20th, we've got Paplu, everyone's favorite little Ewok tank. That is, correct me if I'm wrong, it's been a minute since I've seen Return of the Jedi. I believe Paplu is the one that steals a speeder bike and diverts the attention so Leia can get away. I think
it's
that's
a perfect
true.
tank, right? I mean,
yeah, absolutely. A diversion. Paplu is turning 7 years old on the 21st. The very next day, it's another furball, Chrysanthemum. As first appeared in the Dr. Aphra comic line, later to make a live-action debut in Book of Boba Fett. And I got mixed feelings about Book of Boba Fett. I think there's a lot of missed opportunities there. There's some cool stuff. There's some what is going on stuff. But one thing that I really enjoyed about that show was the first time seeing Chrysanthemum live.
Agreed.
I loved it. And the way he fights like a gladiator is right? So good.
I just love it because in some ways, even though like when you finally get to where Bam is in that show, Beskar Mando, like I'm like, all right, I'm good. This is just basically Mandalorian, 1.5 or 2.5 or whatever that is. And
such
that whole scene with the Rancor. I mean, I don't know. Yes, that's him and the Rancor in that.
We were talking before the show and, I'm going to trigger some people. Hold on. I'm going to trigger some people real quick. We were talking before the show, and I'm not going to give any spoilers, but we were talking about The Acolyte and the finale of The Acolyte. And some different ways to view, which for the record, I loved. I liked the series. I was always pro Acolyte. And I know like criticism, like sure, I'm open to criticism. Yeah, absolutely. But by the end of it, I feel like they stuck the landing, and it was just, those last two episodes were some of my favorite Star Wars. And you can't argue with that.
Yeah, can't take away from yours.
You can't take that away. If you didn't like it, you didn't like it. But my point was, there's different ways to enjoy Star Wars, different things to enjoy: characters, story, fight scenes, weird ideas, stupid looking aliens. I like it all, right? But one thing Book of Boba Fett definitely gave us were some just over the top visuals. Like you said, riding the Rancor was just like, huh? I get to see someone ride a Rancor. That's pretty cool.
It's awesome.
So, but anyways, happy birthday, Kersantin, turning 2 years old. And then the very next day on the 20th, this is bang, 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 20th, 21st, 22nd. On the 22nd, we got Logray coming in with a birthday. Blurfday, sorry.
Ooh.
7 years old. That's when the Ewoks really, in Galaxy of Heroes, really turned around.
Oh, completely
really turned
right.
the corner when Logray came out. You got Logray and Paplu. Paplu, they needed a tank. And Logray was just, what, are you going to have Tebow on the team? What, you're going to run Ewok Scout? No, get out of here. That mass days, the AoE days, come on. That's solid stuff. And they're still a bad team. They're a really bad team.
Right.
But that's when they turned the corner
There you
from
go,
being
right?
a garbage team into just being a bad team.
So next year with the Blurf days, they're no longer all furry. I mean,
oh, you're right. Morgan Elsbeth will have joined the Blurf Day party.
Well,
tis a shame.
it is.
Let's see. What else do we have? That's it for Blurf Days. Now, let's take a look at this week's upcoming in-game events brought to you by swgohevents.com for a complete list of past, present, and future events. swgohevents.com is a universe of info in a galaxy of heroes. This is one of them weeks where there's a lot going on. A whole lot. And it's in a good way. Because you know the Hell Weeks where it's like Territory Battle, Conquest, Grand Arena, Territory War, Tournament. Why not? Just
right.
everything happening. This week's a little different. We wound down Territory Battles last week, and I think we can all breathe a little better having done that. But this week we're going to be winding down Conquest, and that's going to be refreshing, I think.
A little bit.
On the 19th, we've got Ghosts of Dathomir. That's where you get your Nightsister Zombie and Nightsister Spirit shards. We also have a Galactic Challenge. That'll be on Jakku. Bonuses for Resistance, and you're fighting against the First Order. How appropriate. It's usually like some weird
right?
cartel versus Ewoks. And you're like, huh? But this is like on Jakku, Resistance versus First Order. This is like an actual thematic Galactic Challenge. And I like that.
That's good.
Makes me feel good. The 20th is an assault battle. It's a ground war, as well as Dark Sovereign returning for anyone working on Leviathan. Now's your chance. Save up any crystals you got. Do your refreshes. Get it done. The 21st is a contraband cargo, and that's pretty much it. On the 22nd, buckle up, Buttercup. I'm not sure I've ever read this many events in one day.
I know, right?
We've got Territory Battle starting back up. Okay. This will be a Dark Side or, of course, Rise of the Empire if you're at that point. We have an Omega Battle. Okay, well, that one's easy. We have Artist of War Mythic. Doesn't take too long, ideally. We also have Grand Arena Sign Up for week 2. All right, it's just a sign up. It's no big deal. We have a Galactic Challenge. We don't know the deets yet, but you know what? I wonder if we do. Someone on Reddit posted a leak. Well, not a leak, but like a data mine of the upcoming Galactic Challenges, and I don't know if there's dates, but the gist is we got the Gungans coming back. It's coming. And there's going to be Galactic Legends that you have to fight.
Ooh.
So Gungans and Galactic Legends.
Yay.
Cool. Lord Vader, and there's a... what's the other one? Oh, there's a Queen Amidala one as well. So... what else on the 22nd? Where are we at? We have Proving Grounds because Conquest will be ending. So Proving Grounds starts up, as well as Ultimate Journey. Is that what it's called? I always second guess myself because it's such a generic name. Like you just didn't even care. You just
I mean,
call it
that's the thing
Ultimate Journey.
Yeah, it's a journey towards something.
I guess so. On the 23rd, we have an Endor Escalation. 24th, we've got another assault battle, Duel of the Fates, which maybe you can do a little more this time.
Maybe. I mean, I'm hoping.
And then we also have an Admiral's Maneuver that is the Fleet Mastery to get your Radis blueprints. So, as I said, pretty busy week. Territory battle coming up. We're losing Conquest, gaining Territory battle. At least they're not hitting at the same time.
I know, right?
I don't care. Like, if Territory battle is going on as well as Grand Arena is a thing that, like, I sit down, I focus, it's one and done. I do it.
Yeah.
And that's once every 3 days. I sit down and do it while it's in session, right? But, man, Conquest and Territory battle at the same time, not a fan. Not a fan. Let's see. What else do we have? We've got... that's it for events. That's all the events. I keep thinking there's more. There's no more.
I mean, there's already a lot, Sean. So I mean...
Move on.
I know, right?
All right, before we dive into this week's top stories, let's give a quick shout out to our fantastic Patreon supporters. If you enjoy what we do and you want to be a part of our exclusive community, head over to patreon.com/Galactic War Report. Your support makes this podcast possible, and you even get access to the VIP section of our Discord server for some behind-the-scenes goings-on. There is literally a channel called Jawa Goings-On that you can only access if you're a patron. Now then, punch it, Pop-Tart.
All right, well, why don't we start with another access here with Star Wars, is that the PC version, if you signed up for the registration ahead of time, looks like now we do have early access. Mm-hmm. And one nice little thing that's actually coming with that is a UI difference between what we're seeing currently right now in mobile and onto the PC. So only way I can describe it is the buttons look like Tennessee. I mean, basically all you're going to do is you're going to be clicking that Tennessee button every single time. But I will say, it just, anytime there's a little bit of change, it's one of those things where it's like your eyes look at it and you're like, this looks nice. And then I go back to the other version where fresh. I know, right? I hope they do update the mobile version as well. But I'm sitting here looking at this going, man, it looks a little bit crisp.
You describing it to me, you did fine right there. You describing it to me beforehand when we were on a call, and you were like, the game looks like Tennessee, and I was like, in what way?
Yeah, I mean, the mountains, the Smokies, in Nashville.
All the green buttons, and then some of the other ones now are just, they're a little stylized.
Yeah.
A little Nashville charm, you know?
Yeah, they sing to you every time you press it. No, but it's kind of nice, though, because I'm lucky enough to have a PC here, so I get to use the PC client, and I really, really enjoy it. And so I'm glad that others are going to be able to access as well. And hopefully it won't be too long before it opens up to everybody, because it really, truly is kind of nice. And I have noticed still that they do have, I just realized it again today, which means for this last 17 days I've been missing it, but there is still that extra pack inside of the store for the PC.
Oh, goodness.
I know. So then I do need to find a way to make sure that I get that every day again, but it is pretty nice. So yes, so if you were anybody that was registered previously, you need to go out, use the email that you registered it with, go on to their website there, download it to the EA. It's going to be the EA app, and it's right there readily available for you.
Love it.
Now we're going to do
get that Mac client. Get that Mac client for me.
I know, right? Hurry up.
I'm so lazy
nice.
that I'm so like Windows phobic. Like I can't touch Windows. I can't do it.
Man.
And I'm not trying to be snooty and say that my stuff's better. It's just there's something in my brain. There's a wire that will not connect to that, and I can't explain it. I'm just built different.
Understandable. You're at that point. Let's do a little bit of a crap sandwich, as they call it, a little bit here. So we got a good thing, right? So the PC is available now with a data mine. Last week we talked a little bit about the Battle Info tool.
Ooh, yeah, give me some details on that.
Yeah, so
what's in
we're just talking about how great that would be, and that would make it to where we could actually see how many of these conquest feats that we're working towards.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, folks, but it has been confirmed that is a tool that is not visible to the public. So unfortunately, all of that good stuff that we said last week, you need to redact that from your memory.
All of it.
Just like if you're in the jury, please don't remember that. You can't use that against us.
Yeah.
So, dang.
It never happened. I don't even know what you're talking about, Josh.
Yeah.
We never talked about that.
Data mines are real.
It's a shame, man, because
I know.
we don't have details on exactly what it was, but it did. It sounded like maybe we'd get a feat tracker, something like that. And at the end of the day, it's just a new tool for them to use, which, I mean, they got to have a lot of tools to make this game work. So I'm not complaining about that at all. Just to say that, like, oh, man,
right?
That's all.
I was just hoping.
Yeah.
What it really was is it's a tool to show all the Tennessees, right? That's what it was.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. It takes a lot to shave off a corner of that button and
there you go.
Shine it up. Man.
So let's talk for a moment. I know we talked right at the beginning because obviously I'm excited about it. Qui-Gon going to the Cantina store.
Yeah.
Not the store, but the actual Cantina. And one thing I think that you and I were talking about previously was just, okay, with, Obi-Wan going into Cantina, it really seems like they're trying to push him out, right? Oh, that sounds weird, but get him more into the community. There you go, right? So that's kind of...
Yeah.
And then I was so worried the fact that if there's going to be like Fleet or something like this. What do you think this means that they've gone through and they've made this to where they are more accessible?
I think there's a couple of things to consider here. One, if you recall, like speeder bike time and new raid, new tune, who dis, right? There was new Leia. And I think we were all kind of taken aback by how generous they were with giving out Rex shards, giving out Nisa shards and Scout Trooper and the like. And Drogon. Drogon was the other.
Drogon, yeah.
And I think that when we got the additive drops for Master Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, they were really lackluster.
Yeah, they were.
So it could be as kind of a, I don't want to say make good because it's not about like transactional, like we got to not lose players. I don't think it was that level. I think what both of those things are trying to do, they're trying to get people to engage with the new raid. And the best way to engage with that new raid is with that Queen Amidala team.
Yeah.
So you really do want people to have access to the teams that make the raid playable. On top of that, we talked about it last week. We've got a lot of complaints about guilds not being able to get the rewards they used to be able to get.
Yeah.
And so I don't know how far in advance this stuff gets planned out. I know a lot of this stuff gets planned very far in advance. But, I mean, until it's live, until it's in the build, they can pull levers and say, like, look, we need people scoring higher in this raid to keep the economy working. And if that's the case, then it's one more reason why you would want to have Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan quite accessible for people. So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, 2, more than 1. And so, I mean, and I do think that when you have newer people coming into the game too, I keep on thinking about, like, for me, episode 1 was actually the first Star Wars movie I ever watched. Mm-hmm. So legitly, I went from 1, 2, and then finished up with the first ones there, and then came back and watched 3.
So that's like classic Machete order.
Yeah, right.
Well,
basically,
it's not Machete was. What was Machete? Nope, it's absolutely not. It's backwards. Machete order. Machete order was 4, 5, 1, 3, 6, and you leave out 2 because it got macheted out. I believe. But there's also the variant where you leave 2 in and you just do it as like a flashback. Like Luke learns Vader's his father, and then you do the prequels, and then you wrap up with Jedi.
Yeah, but interesting.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Sidetrack completely.
But as I think about like the newer people in this game, I mean, this is the first one, right? So like, I mean, this is the Qui-Gon I remember. I don't think of him as the one that got stabbed through, and like nobody else in all of these new series doesn't come back to life, you know, right. But poor guy. But still, I mean, it's great. I love it. Like I said, there's been a few times that I do the old fist pump in the air to freak out my family, and Qui-Gon going to Cantina is one of them. So that'll be a memory for me. I
texted you right away. Like, oh my God, Qui-Gon to Cantina? You got to be kidding me. And it works out well for me as I finished my Padawan Obi-Wan shards anyways.
Yeah.
So like the timing ain't bad. The give and take here is always a Cantina farm is so much faster than any other kind of farm. But the take is you got to pause all your relic business to do it. I know. And that's no fun. So yeah, that's the only downside. I mean, like it's still a net very, very positive.
Agreed. Yeah. And the nice part right now is I have to get a decent amount of Cairo. So this is going to be perfect for me in some ways because I'm going to utilize that for Cairo. I'm not going to do anything else. Hoping to get him all the way up to where we need to go. And I don't know. I'm excited. I think these 3 characters have been some of the most exciting characters for me in the game. I mean,
yeah, that makes sense. I mean, entry point being episode 1, then totally. Interestingly enough, my entry point being episode 4, Farm Boy Luke is terrible. Princess Leia is terrible. You know, most of us. I will say Han and Chewie are still legit, but
when I think about it though, like at some point I'm going to get to the point in this game where I'm like, the characters I like, they're automatically going to go to the highest relic level. It doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
But then I think about the fact that my Chewie is only relic 6 and it bothers me. Why is he relic 6? I need to change that, but I haven't changed it. Like if
you didn't change it during the speeder bike raid, it seems weird now, even though he was actually not that good in the speeder bike raid, but
just in general.
Yeah.
Well, one other thing before we move into the kit is the fact that now it looks like we have finally transitioned over to the new EA forums here. So it looks different when I click into this today. But the big question is, and I saw online people talking about it, is really the background was black before and now it's white. That's the only difference I kind of see on here because I don't really go into the forums in general.
That's interesting. Let me pull her up. I just went to the old. Yep, there it is. Huh.
Yeah. I mean,
interesting.
Again, it's these things that it's so funny. We've played this game so much. We've looked at so many different kits that now we even kind of critique, oh, the sight's a little bit different here.
Yeah, it's like I generally don't have a problem with it, but like it seems odd to switch to a light mode.
Yeah.
Like usually it's highly celebrated when sites go to a dark mode. You're like, yay! Like swgoh.gg did fairly recently, and everyone's like, this is beautiful, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But interesting.
So I mean, I think the first thing that jumps off the table to me is the fact that she's a tank. I mean, looking at this kid, the first thing when I pulled this up, I'm like, well, I wonder what she's going to be. I thought for sure she was going to be an attacker. I mean, maybe a support, but then to have her be a tank.
I think it makes sense. I mean, in both of her appearances, she was in The Mandalorian as well as Ahsoka. And in both, she has a scene where essentially she just stalls.
Yeah, you're true.
She has to. Thrawn has to get away, so he uses her to stall out Ahsoka.
Yeah.
And then I forget the exact reason in Mandalorian. I forget. It's been a while since I watched that episode, but I remember that fight taking forever, and I can kind of see the tankiness, maybe.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, looks good though.
Yeah, it does.
I really enjoy it. She's carrying the Blade of Talzin, which I love.
I know.
She's going to be on a team with what? You've got the Night Trooper, the new Death Trooper, her, Great Mothers, and then whatever other Nightsister, Spirit, such and such, whatever.
Well, it's...
we'll see who ends up being the best 5 there.
But in the strategy tips, it says, use Acolyte's basic abilities so Morgan can protect her allies.
Oh, interesting.
So that'll be a little bit interesting if they have basically made it to where we have Spear and Acolyte in this, and they all of a sudden are decent. Can that be?
Hey, Acolyte was all right back in the day. That constant stealth and basic, like, you can't counterattack me, I'm stealthed. That's kind of saucy. I like it when it works. Yeah, so let's see. She's a marquee. She'll be available by the time this airs. They said no exclusive Datacron, at least not upon release. Thank goodness. I don't like that.
No.
I don't like that. It sets a precedent that I mean, the floodgates are open. They've done it twice already, but I don't like it. It feels, you know what it feels like? It feels like, I might catch flack for this too, but it feels like ads for gambling sites.
Okay.
Yes, it's legal. Just shut up. I don't want to do it. Like, there's something dirty about it. I don't know. All right. Enough of that. Blade of Talzin. This is her basic. It's deal physical damage to target enemy, and she gains defense up and protection up 50% for 1 turn. If target enemy is inflicted with defense down, the weakest other non-tank Nightsister ally stealths for 1 turn. If Morgan is taunting, inflict target enemy with vulnerable for 1 turn. First special is My Loyalty, My Life. 4-turn cooldown. Pretty simple. Dispel all buffs on all enemies, and all Nightsister allies recover 50% health and protection, and gain defense penetration up for 2 turns. Kind of feels like Ahsoka's deal. You dispel all the good stuff and heal them up. If Morgan is taunting, all Nightsister, or I said Ahsoka, I meant Asajj.
There you go.
Ability.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I went right with you. So
I know you were.
I mean, I was right on it.
You were like,
I knew
this
who
guy
you're talking
clearly
about.
knows what he's talking about.
That's the thing, though. I just knew what you're talking about, but I just, yeah.
If Morgan is taunting, all Nightsister allies gain 20% turn meter and tenacity up for 2 turns. Handy. And then special 2 is let none pass. This is deal physical damage to target enemy, blind them for 1 turn, inflict them with armor shred for the rest of the encounter, and call all other Nightsister allies to assist. If this attack defeats an enemy, blind all enemies for 2 turns, which can't be evaded or resisted. And while in Grand Arenas, with the Omicron applied, stagger target enemy for 2 turns and expose all enemies and inflict them with buff immunity for 2 turns. If target enemy is inflicted with defense down, Nightsister allies deal an additional 5% damage, and the cooldown of their abilities is decreased by 1. All Nightsister allies gain Frenzy for 1 turn, and protection up 50% for 2 turns. It's a party, is what that move is.
What does Frenzy do again, though?
Oh, shoot.
Man, that was something that I was just about ready to Google.
It makes you constantly take turns. And let's see, who has it? Bosk has Frenzy. Pow has Frenzy. Let's see.
Yes,
I'm such a goober. I should have known this.
Well, Biston, Bosk, Darth Talon, Luthen, Jedi Knight, Cal, Maul, Night Trooper. So there's 2 of them. So Morgan Frenzy, and Night Trooper has
Whenever
it. Whenever
another ally uses a special ability, this unit gains 100% turn meter.
Nice.
I forgot what triggered it, if it was hitting someone or special or whatever. So then, she has a unique as well. Defeated allies. First, this is at the bottom of it. I want to point this out because I feel like this is crucial to her kit. But defeated allies can't be revived. And that's kind of a very intentional nerf to her to make it so that she doesn't break up the other Nightsister squad. Because you think about how crucial, like, Nightsister Zombie makes it so that if someone else dies, no, they didn't. If someone else dies again, no, they didn't. And then you can start actually killing Nightsisters, right? You got to get past those 2 revives. Daka has a move that just revives them all. Nightsister Zombie just revives herself. Talzin, anytime you do a move, they all revive and assist, like, and Marin as well. On a classic Nightsister team, everyone but Asajj has a means of reviving, and that's how it works. Mm-hmm. So they don't want to mess that up, and they want to give a new flavor to this. And I feel like that's the cleanest way to do it, even though, Nightsisters still, like, they're kind of all about reviving in lore. And the Night Trooper is a revived stormtrooper. Right? So you still have that flavor a little bit. It's just not going to happen like that in game, which, thank God, with all the other stuff she's doing. Okay, but the ability it's called Preordained Destiny. And at the start of battle, all Nightsister allies gain 10% crit chance, defense, and max health, 30% tenacity, and 50% max protection. So, I mean, that buffs everyone, but it is also kind of interesting in that makes Ghost a little more viable, or Ghost, oh my God, Spirit a little more viable. It makes Acolyte a little more viable. Like, it kind of boosts those older Nightsisters if you want to shuffle them in there. Whenever another Nightsister ally stealths, aka Acolyte, they gain 15% crit damage for 1 turn, Morgan taunts for 1 turn, and all Nightsister allies recover 25% health. There's the sticker. Yeah. I think, Spirit, you can sit down, man. That with Acolyte, that does it. Now that I'm reading it and thinking about it, I glazed over it.
Oh, yeah.
I glanced over it earlier. But now that I'm really thinking about it, yeah, that's an acolyte thing. So whenever a Nightsister ally gains foresight, they gain 20% offense for 1 turn, and all Nightsister allies recover 25% protection. All right. I see where they're going with this. Whenever a Nightsister ally critically hits an enemy, that enemy is inflicted with defense down for 1 turn, which can't be resisted. The first time each other Nightsister ally falls below 20% health, they gain foresight and stealth for 2 turns. Morgan gains 20% defense until the end of the encounter, and they and Morgan recover 30% health and protection, and gain 30% turn meter.
So it's like a revive, but not really a full revive. It's like they start to go down and they kind of like
it's
pump
a
it up again.
little yo-yo there with their health and protection. Whenever Morgan's defeated, inflict all enemies with health down for 2 turns, which can't be dispelled, evaded, or resisted. All Nightsister allies recover 100% health and protection and gain 5% crit avoidance and defense, plus an additional 10% crit avoidance and defense per relic level Morgan had until the end of the encounter. Whenever Morgan taunts, all Nightsister allies recover 20% health and protection and gain 15% offense until she loses taunt. Whenever she loses taunt, she recovers 5% health and protection and gains 10% turn meter. They really made this kit impossible to actually follow.
Like, yeah, basically.
Defeated allies can't be revived. When she dies, everyone goes back to full. If someone goes below 20%, they're going to bounce back a little bit. Acolytes, a pain in the butt.
When she taunts,
that's basically
it goes through and spices them up a little bit. And when she loses a taunt, she gains health. I mean, it really is. I mean, really, it said earlier that the Night Mothers, right, are going to be the leader in this, but they really are just making a totally different Nightsister team, and it's going to be interesting. And I think, like what you just said, though, like there's so much happening, but I think when you start to use it, it's not going to be too complicated.
Yeah.
But it really seems like this is going to be a defensive team that is going to be annoying on defense. It
feels that way, but it's hard to say, too.
True.
I mean, until we see the Great Mothers, maybe they're just... I mean, if the firepower is there, a team that can perform really well on offense, I love it. I love more offensive options. No more stone walls. We want full clears. Creative ways to get full clears. That's what we want. Someone pointed out Deacon 1337 pointed out that the last ability is 8 paragraphs. 8 paragraphs.
Wow. It is, yeah.
Man.
Wow. You're going to be scrolling for a moment in the game.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not reading that again. I'm never reading all those words again.
Is she in the game right now?
Yeah,
she is. Yes. All right, let's see it. Oh, my word, yeah.
Don't do it while we're full. Recording. Your computer might crash.
Oh, true, yes. But...
Jeez.
Well, I mean, we got a couple days for this one. I think we got a little while before we're going to see the full potential, but it is going to be really interesting when we get done with all of this just to see how does this work, because, I mean, we still have, just how is this going to work as a whole? There's so many characters that are going to be coming out over the next few months and weeks, and that is going to be interesting to see because for some reason, I didn't think she was going to be a marquee. I don't know why. I thought for some reason she was going to be more important. It feels
like she would be the leader of the team.
Yeah,
To me. Like, Great Mothers, honestly, sure. In the story in Ahsoka, like, Great Mothers, I mean, they outrank her, but, like, she's the bad bee, you know?
Yeah, right? I mean, I guess it's just like a lot of corporate things, right? They're the CEO and she's the worker, right? I mean,
yep.
And I guess I'm for the worker.
She's a manager. their
know.
C-suite. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so how's this conquest, man? It's almost done.
That's about what I was gonna say. Is it's finally to the point now where I need to work on my datacrons. I was not a smart child by the fact that I didn't actually even level up the datacrons before we got into this grand arena. So whoops, but
I leveled up
yes.
all 3 of mine.
All 3 of yours. Oh, I can see. Yes, all 3. I mean, I think I had 5 that were, 5 or higher. So it's not bad, but still it's just pretty rough. So, I have really made the goal to get to the second to last crate and then do as much as I can to get as much of the biscuits. So that way I can buy and make it to where right after the third one, right before the last one, the next one, I'll unlock the character. And to be honest, even if I unlock him, it's probably going to be a bit before he gets up and running. So
yeah,
I'm okay. I'm exactly at 530. That was my goal. I didn't do one over that. I did exactly 530 this time. So I feel like I did it more efficiently this time around. There really wasn't too many that was too rough for me. I did skip the Dark Trooper Moff Gideon just because I don't have that good team set up.
Pain. Yeah.
And it just never felt like he was getting it. And then, so really all the global ones, that one and Follow My Lead was the only one I didn't get because guess what? I couldn't get the Datacron or I couldn't get the disc because I didn't do the Moff Gideon. So I felt pretty good on that one. And honestly, now this is where I'm going to just farm as much as possible. I want to get the Wampacron. That's going to be my first one that I want to get. Of course, it's going to be so hard because I don't have the refresh ability too much there. So I'm hoping that RNG is just really nice and I don't end up with a Datacron that I just don't care about. But but I will say that we have 4 days and 15 hours left when we record right now. And all I'm going to be doing is hitting sim for the rest of this time. So it feels wonderful.
It's liberating, isn't it? Yeah, I've been there. I've been there. And honestly, I think I'm close to there right now too. Because I've had a busy week and like I've been struggling with this conquest. And sometimes I really, really do well in these. But usually I just am kind of not great at conquest. I'm just not great at prioritizing and making sure that I'm getting in those routines. I have enough routines in my life that I try to actually stick to those, and conquest it doesn't always work out quite like that. That said, I think I'm going to hit that 530 and chill as well.
Nice.
Last time I got my 110 shards without buying the pass, and it was all good. No, I must have bought the pass if I got 110. I didn't buy any from the shops. That's right. And this time I was like, I'll just keep doing that. I got this. And I had to buy the pass and buy them all from the shops because I'm just simply not going to hit that crate. If I put all of my effort into hitting that crate, I could do it. But I got to farm some Datacrons, man. I literally have 3.
You have 3, yeah.
3. I have a Sabine one that I really like. I have a IG-11 one, I think. And like a third that isn't Relic 9 yet. But like I got all those Relic mats. I gotta get some, or not Relic mats, some upgrade materials. I gotta get some Datacrons.
Yeah.
And that's more important to me than getting max crate even if I have to wait till the next conquest for Luthen. If I have to, cool. I don't want to put myself in a bad Datacron situation when there's this many crazy Datacrons out there. I gotta have some of them. Yeah. And I started Grand Arena today. We didn't do a full thing because it just started up. But I also got tied up over the last 24 hours, and did not update my defenses. So there's a lot of missing datacrons.
Yeah.
And I still ran out of datacrons for attack.
Yeah,
So
that is tough.
that ain't good.
Well, I was gonna ask you real quick though on this too. Do you feel like this time around, I felt like the discs were incomplete? Like,
yes,
in the past, it feels like there's always been like, if you're gonna do dots, I mean, you're doing amplify agony. There you go. Say that 12 times fast. And I always felt like instant death. You go through, you feel powerful. I know Overzealous is definitely going to be the number one in this set because then you got the supports and healers kicking butt, right? But in general, it feels like all of the other ones, even the defense, I ended up using, for a lot of the feats, I ended up using the one that gave you, I should know the name of it. And let me look up the actual name because, that's what we should do in this case. But so when you have fortified, so 45. So where you basically get the 200% defense, I doubled up on that. And then I moved into protection recovery, shield, protection shield, undercover, and heal over time. And that really made it to where I just didn't die. But it took me a really long time to be able to do that because nothing's dying with this. Like, even on the first one, it's guaranteed to be a timeout because it just isn't going to happen. Do you feel that same way that it just felt incomplete this time around?
I do. It's in the past. That's the thing with Conquest is I feel like, and listeners, maybe you disagree, but I feel like you need to cheese Conquest, and it's hard to cheese this Conquest. Because I'm in the same boat. I get a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but I am not given the datacrons or the data discs to build a cheese strategy like that Zealous Ambition. Like you mentioned, the defense, at least with those, some of those like apply accuracy down X amount of times. Like, you don't have to win. You just got to do it.
There you go.
So that can kind of help. But yeah, I've struggled with that for sure. So yeah, I'm at 472 and I'm looking at like, all right, what can I get up to 530 and just be done? Because I'm not doing it this time. As far as Grand Arena, I will say I streamed. It's available on Twitch. I'll probably have it up on YouTube tomorrow. But it was silly. Both me and my opponent did not update our defenses, and they had started the attack pretty clean. Their defenses weren't that good. Like, not as a slight. They saved a lot for attack. And I tripped up twice. So I don't have a great feeling about this round. Very similar roster size. And I think they might just have me. We'll see. They left terrible fleets too. And so I know they're going to storm. They're going to tear me apart. I got nothing good. As long as they pick their phone back up, I'm
there you go, right? I hope that they are completely busy and they're like just can't get back to it. So it is what it is. But
I got a busy day, or I have a busy week at work. I hope that my opponent works for the same company I work.
Yes, there you go.
So I guess that's it. That's all. No more. We run the credits. We get out of here. Wait. We gotta cover one very important thing still. Who you grinding?
Ooh, man. I've been like tune crushing so much on these Poncho Pals.
You have been.
I need to update the masses here. So my Padawan Kenobi, which by the way, when I texted you Pad Ken, you knew exactly what I was talking about. But
something. It was Pad Ken.
Yep,
yeah, that's right.
It was so funny. But so he was 73 out of 85. all the way up, got him done through Cantina, and I'm not stopping until it's no longer a button to press. And he went from Gear 11 up to Relic 9. So he is officially
he's done.
Fanboyed up to Relic 9. So that feels good.
Does he have his Omicron?
He will be. Yes, I only have 12 out of 20. And I'll tell you what, I'm looking at basically the only downside of that Omicron, looking at it, you get 5 attempts. And so when he falls below 50, then he doesn't give it anymore. So it's going to be weird. I typically don't use a lot of stamina or I use the stamina, but anything to kind of refresh the stamina.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's looking at it. I'm so ready. And if it makes Conquest just a little bit easier, totally worth it. Again, I'm doing a little bit of crushing. So, got him up to Relic 9. Now Qui-Gon, that just found out, right? So I had to press at least one time. He was at 29 out of 30. He's no longer in those 3 stars. He's up to that 4 stars now. So he's at 2 out of 65.
Hey.
He was Gear 9. So now he is basically ready to go at Gear 11 plus. And so we will start tomorrow on the good grind of getting him up to where he needs to go. But now my quest for Jar Jar, even though I know I got to get Jar Jar just because, but it's going to be a moment because all of these Gungans need to be reliced, but we're getting closer. I like the fact that I'm getting into the hundreds on some of these. So Boss Nass, 48 out of 100 up to 61 out of 100. And then Boomadeer, 21 out of 85 to a whopping 34 out of 85.
Get it.
And then that's it, right? But Phalanx, 39 out of 85 up to 55 out of 85. I will say, though, this week I've had a little bit of bad luck. One day, every single hard node shard was 0. And at that time, there was 7 different characters that I was using that for, and all 7 got 0. Like, what?
It's like a Prince song, right? Prince of the Revolution. All 7, and we'll get a bunch of zeros.
There you go. Actually, throughout this whole time that we're doing this, I feel like you're saying a bunch of lyrics, pieces of lyrics. So I hope people, as you're listening to this, you go back, you're like, oh yeah, that was part of a song. Or there's just something wrong in my brain and I'm thinking everything in lyrics today. But moving on. All right. So in my Lord Vader group here, so Echo, finally, now that I got Hunter done, I can move on to Echo. He went from 64 out of 65 up to 23 out of 85. And then Embo now gets a little bit of work as well. 84 out of 85 up to 15 out of 100. So I'm looking at this Lord Vader list here.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot. It's a lot of relics.
It's a big list. Yeah.
And I haven't even talked about a lot of them, but we're still going head first. Oh, actually not head first yet. We're maybe doing a side paddle for a moment because I'm going to get done with all 3 of the Poncho Pals there, including Queen Amidala. We're going to end up going up to Relic 9. So is it smart?
Oof.
No. Is it cool? For me, it's going to be wonderful. So I don't even care. There's probably people oh my gosh, all Relic 9s when he's blah, blah, blah. I'm I don't care. It's going to happen. And then I'm going to do, then Lord Vader's going to happen. So, I mean, obviously I'm making great decisions.
Yeah.
So to transition into the next thing, talking about great decisions, who you grinding?
Oh, the best decisions. There was a time where we were talking about you finish a grind and you're like, ooh, I'm going to do something for fun, like Imperial Super Commando and Gar Saxon and Nightsister Spirit, right? And all these just silly things that I've done all of my Jawas in the past, just for fun. But now I'm hunkered down. I'm focused. My Amidala grind, Padawan Obi-Wan was at 30 out of 100, but God bless Cantina. He's at Relic 4 now. I love it. I love Cantina. I'll take him up to 5 and then stop because that's where my Queen Amidala is. So also, I got to stop because I'm going to need that stuff for Gungans. So as exciting as it is to have Master Qui-Gon in Cantina, I do have to wait a little bit because Jar Jar is returning very soon. What is it, August 3rd or so? So
I think first week of August, yeah.
Yeah, you gotta, if you're on the edge there, you really have to go for it. And I am so close. Boss Nass, Relic 5. Tarples, Relic 5. Boomadeer went from 92 out of 100 up to Relic 5. So that leaves Phalanx, who went from 60 up to 77 out of 100. I'm pacing to be fine. But, I don't want to get to a situation where... But he's going to be here for, a week, too, right? So even if I'm not here, if I'm not ready on day one, I'll be ready. The X factor is... Well, there's always a few X factors with me. The relic stuff, signal data, relic mats, that's going to be an issue because I don't have much because I'm scraping it together for Padawan Obi-Wan. Is it smart? No. Is it cool? Yeah. So I'm working on that. Zetas I'm saving up as well because I'm going to want them for Jar Jar. And as tempting as it is to start investing in this Morgan Elsbeth team, not yet.
Yeah.
I've got time before the whole team comes out, at which point, I'll have time before they're farmable. It's okay. I don't need to do it all right now. So yeah, it's not super exciting, I guess. My Qui-Gon's at 36 out of 65, which is just after the additive drops, kind of where he landed. So, no movement there. Zetas, like I said, I'm saving. Omicrons, last one I did was the raid Omicron for the Gungans. Don't regret that at all, because that is, you start it up, you put it on auto, and you just won. Congratulations. Nice. But next one I'm thinking is Embo. I think that's the last territory one I'm going to do for a while. The last territory war one that I'm going to do for a while. It just, man, it really chonks up that Jabba squad. It is quite spicy. So I think I'll do that, and then I can just go back to living my Grand Arena Omicron dream, because I have fallen behind there. I know, right? Ugh. And then the other grind is Datacrons. I'm sitting on 3 Datacrons. What am I doing with my life? So that's the real story. Whom I grinded? Datacrons. And while we've been recording, when I've had a minute, I've got it up on my emulator. I've done a couple little passes at that Sector 1 Datacron node. Nothing. I say a couple. I've probably done like 5 or 6. Nothing. I just don't get them to drop.
It's called a drop rate for a reason, because your heart drops every time that you don't get one. So...
Right, exactly. And then I go rate the game in the App Store.
I know, right? It's like, well, it looks like you've re-rated this game over 13,000 times.
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
That's all we got for you this week. It may not be the best advice, but at least we didn't recommend you call it quits at 3 Datacrons. If you want to continue the conversation, join our Discord server. It's linked in the show description. Become a real live Jawa by supporting us on Patreon, and share your thoughts by leaving us a podcast review. Big thanks also go out to Pabu Appa and SWGOH.GG and SWGOH Events for providing all the hard data we misinterpret weekly. Thanks for tuning in, and may the Force and RNG be